Hey guys, it's Rapid. What's going on out there? How are you guys feeling today? So today there has been a release of some new high resolution screenshots from Titanfall. With these screenshots, I think you can get a decent idea of the graphical sort of like look of Titanfall. It does look very good. It's a really good looking game. So supposedly these images were rendered out from the full 1080p version of the game, full HD. And because it's the highest possible resolution, we can see in some of the shots that some of the textures look a little bit muddy. Here we can see that this guy's pants are a bit like blurry-ish, muddy-ish. I mean, you're not going to spend very much time looking at his pants, so that's really not a big deal. And when we look at his gloves, we can see the texture resolution is much higher. So they're probably just sort of like phoned it in with the pants here, but you're really going to spend most of your time looking at the arms, looking at things like that. So it seems like for things that you won't be looking at much, they've really lowered the texture quality. But for things that you're actually going to be paying a lot more attention to, they've actually brought the quality up to standard. A lot of people really were upset. Some people were saying like, hey, look at this texture quality. It's like, what is this, Xbox 360? You know, I thought this was supposed to be a new console. And to those people I say, relax. The game isn't even, it's still in development. So there could be a chance that these blurry kneecap things won't even be in the final game. It's still a whole year until the game comes out. So there's plenty of time for them to clean up graphic wise or clean up, you know, the textures and things. But for the fact that it's a game that's still going to be in development for a whole nother year, it looks really good to me. I mean, and another thing is, people were saying, you know, man, this looks like a 360 game. Like, I really didn't have a problem with 360 games. I really don't think that they look that terrible that I couldn't play them. Graphics were just never like super duper important to me. I mean, cool graphics are cool graphic, let's be honest. Nowadays I run a PC that can run most games at 300 frames per second, max graphics, all that jazz, and it's really cool. And it's really nice to have like super high resolution graphics, and I'll admit it. But that has never stopped me from playing a game that I really enjoyed. I'd be happy to play any game in super low graphics. So I've just been rambling. There's other stuff I'm supposed to talk about, but I forgot. Okay, give me a second. Brrr. So some more information besides that. It's been stated that the game will be locked at 60 frames per second. I'm assuming that's for the console version, because as we know, for the PC Master Race, you know, you are able to get much higher frame rates. But they're saying like it's able to vertical sync or V-sync at 60 frames per second, and that's good. That's what you want. And see, the way that these games are sort of displayed or processed, especially like super high resolution games, is that it takes a ton of information to sort of put everything on the screen at once. So a lot of times what you get is just sort of like little sort of like tearing in between like chunks of the video, and it's sometimes you don't even notice it, but sometimes, like, if you're like someone who cares about graphics, then it's definitely noticeable. So what vertical sync does is it sort of like syncs everything up, and it says, alright, we're gonna take our time and sort of put everything, as much information on the screen as we can within a certain amount of time. And the amount of time for this game is going to be 60 frames per second. So that's good. That's exactly what you want. That's a nice high resolution vertical sync rate. Some games have to vertical sync at half that, at 30 frames per second, and that is sort of a noticeable difference. And then you sort of go, "Aw, I wish it was 60 frames per second." They've also mentioned that the game has tons of visual effects. So when you think about visual effects, that's sort of like, you know, particle effects or sort of like lighting, the way things sort of like, I don't know, a lot of it has to do with lighting, a lot of it has to do with particle effects. So it's good to know that a game is able to run at full 60 frames per second with a lot of particle effects. That means you're going to get the full sort of effect of the game. I remember back in 360 days, I mean 360 is still around, but back when I used to play 360 all the time, there will be times when if enough particle effects gather on the screen, then it starts to slow down and get like framey. That won't be the problem at all for Titanfall. It'll be able to run solid 60 FPS regardless of if there's explosions going on, if there's tons of like smoke everywhere. That shouldn't be slowing it down. Another thing that they say, this is a really long-winded video. Another thing that they say is not a single frame is repeated over the 4-minute stretch, producing a monotone reading at the head of the frames per second axis. That is quite a quote. Basically what that means is what a lot of games do to sort of emulate 60 frames per second. In fact, some games can only get 30 frames per second, like I mentioned before. And what they'll sort of do to sort of try to cheat it is sort of double up on the frames. So if we put the same frame twice, then that's technically 60 frames per second, right? Well, no, it's not, and there's a noticeable difference. It pretty much just looks like 30 frames per second, even though, you know, your fraps might say 60 frames. It still looks like 30 frames per second. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I'm super excited for this game. I'm gonna be getting it for the PC, so I'm gonna be running it at max FPS, max graphics, max everything. So this is cool. This is fun to know for me. I mean, but ultimately the graphics don't matter at the end of the day, and what matters is that the gameplay is balanced and fun, which it looks like it is. And besides that, they have a full year to continue to work on this, so yeah, it just looks really good to me. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can see more of my videos. Don't forget to check out my channel. Don't forget to like, and don't forget to comment, and I won't forget to keep making videos for you guys. Alright, thanks.